Nathan's Read Alouds. The Girl Who Argued with the Wind. Cecily set up her Tuesday affair, with scones and a perfectly brushed head of hair. But something was stirring the tops of the trees, a terribly rude, insubordinate breeze. It flipped the umbrella, it rattled the cups, it startled poor Bovril, the bravest of pups. It picked up the sponge cake and tossed it away. The wind was dismantling a beautiful day. Cecily stood in her Wellington boots, the ones she reserved for her fiercest disputes. She pointed a finger straight up at the sky. "You listen to me," she let out a cry. "Your blowing is strictly forbidden down here. My rules for the garden are perfectly clear." She glared at the sky, feeling frightfully bold. But wind doesn't care what it's recently told. It answered with whoosh and a violent swish. It frankly ignored her meticulous wish. It lifted her tablecloth into the fur and aimed a quite personal whirlwind at her. She grabbed her best clipboard and scribbled a note. "A formal complaint," were the words that she wrote. She pinned it right up on the side of the shed. The wind simply tore it to ribbons instead. She marched to the gate with a furious frown and tried her best tactics to wrestle it down. She swiped at the gusts with a punishing hand, which looked rather silly, you must understand. She stopped. She was panting. Her welly was stuck. Arguing back was just terrible luck. The wind was a menace, a giant, a brute, and frankly, too large for a petty dispute. If shouting was useless and fighting was worse, she needed a plan to put things in reverse. She looked at the string and the sticks on the ground, and suddenly Cecily's brain spun around. She tied up the splinters and glued down a sheet, a tactical weapon that couldn't be beat. She added a tail that was terribly long to prove to the weather that blowing is wrong. She marched up the hill with her weapon in tow and waited for one of those tempests to blow. She tossed it aloft with a flick of her wrist and gave that old nuisance a fabulous twist. The wind grabbed the kite and it pulled to the stars, while Cecily clung to the wobbly spars. She couldn't defeat it by causing a fuss, but sometimes the bluster can work just for us.